Hi, I'm Granny, and we're going down the rabbit hole of the land that God made in anger, or otherwise known as the Skeleton Coast. Local Bushman tribes call the northern coastal desert of Namibia the land God made in anger. Portuguese explorers once referred to it as the gates of hell. On most official maps, this isolated and inhospitable area is marked by a decidedly ominous name, the Skeleton Coast. The place derives its name from the vast number of whale and seal bones strewn along the shoreline, which are the relics of the whaling industry. Humans, though, have been hunting whales for thousands of years, with the earliest evidence dating back to 12,000 years ago. Archaeological evidence includes Inuits located in the Arctic regions of Alaska, Canada, Greenland, and Russia, having hunted large whales from skin boats using toggle head harpoons for thousands and thousands of years. A Neolithic petroglyph dated to 10,000 BC in Korea showing whales tethered to boats and whale bones or whale remains have been found in Japanese burial mounds. Whaling continued to be a major industry until the 1850s when the industry declined due to overharvesting, depleting the whale population worldwide. The United States Marine Mammal Protection Act of 1972 prohibits the hunting, killing, or harassing of all marine mammals in the United States. It also makes it illegal to import marine animals or products made from them. In 1986, the International Whaling Commission, the IWC, established an international moratorium on whaling. However, there are still countries who hunt them. Despite the ban, dolphins and whales are still hunted in many parts of the world for their meat, body parts, and other uses. The Skeleton Coast also refers to the remains of over 1,000 ships that have wrecked along this desolate, rocky shore. Most of the Skeleton Coast is extremely dry, receiving less than an inch of rain each year. Its beaches, though, are prized by surfers around the world for the consistently huge waves. Skeleton Bay is known for its long, thick, and fast barrels. A barrel wave is a wave that breaks in a cylindrical shape, creating a hollow tube or tunnel of water that surfers can ride through. Barrel waves are considered the pinnacle of surfing and are often sought after by surfers. The experience of being inside a barrel wave is thrilling and very hard to do. The waves along the Skeleton Coast are heavy and only ankle deep, and the drop is impossible. The waves only break a few times per season, but when they do, the world's best barrel riders come to surf them. Ankle deep is a surfer term at Skeleton Bay because the barrel of the wave is so long and thick that even when you're deep inside it, the water is only as deep as your ankle, creating an incredibly long, drawn-out tube that is considered one of the most perfect barrels in the world, but also very challenging to ride due to its speed and power. The waves also come with an impossible drop, referring to the difficulty of catching the wave because it's fast-moving and it has a very steep face, making it really almost impossible, except for the most elite surfers, to be able to surf it. When I was younger, I loved to surf, and it's frightening when you're ragdolled. It's next to the most intense experience, which is a wipeout. It happens when, after you are wiped out, the huge, powerful waves grabs you and forces you to the bottom of the wave. Imagine yourself being in a giant washing machine. You have no power, and you're completely at the wave's mercy. I learned to regularly, if I had the chance, to take a huge breath before hitting the water, because sometimes that wave and the power behind it makes you incapable, and also sometimes you don't know up or down because you're being thrown around so violently. And I've often wondered when I've heard of the death of a surfer if they were ragdolled and the waves just kept them from being able to take a breath. Or sometimes that rocky bottom that you're thrown against, if there's some sharp rocks, that could do some serious damage. Despite its popularity among surfers, the Skeleton Coast remains one of the least visited places on Earth. Since the coast became a protected national park in 1997, only 800 people a year are permitted to visit. You ought to Google the gates to the Skeleton Coast, because visitors are greeted with these ginormous gates featuring skull and crossbones. The Skeleton Coast is home to a unique ecosystem of animals that can survive the harsh climate, including baboons, giraffes, desert elephants, and the endangered black rhinoceros. Further along the Namibia's coast lies, further south, is Kolmanskop, first established by Germans during the 1908 diamond rush. Have you ever heard of a diamond rush instead of a gold rush? This former mining town was abandoned in the 1950s. In 1908, Zachariah Liwala, a railway worker, found a diamond in the desert. The discovery led to a diamond rush, and by 1912, the town of Kolmanskop was producing 1 million carats of diamonds per year. That's a whole lot. If you were to look at the pictures, there are some stunningly beautiful homes and offices that were built, and most of them are now half buried, and I suspect some are completely buried in the sand. And from a distance, some look like no time has elapsed since the 1950s at all. Anyway, today Kolmanskop is a ghost town overtaken by the elements. Visitors in the area still tour its surreal scenery with rows of stately German homes that are now filled with sand. Whether you want to call it the land God made in anger, or the Skeleton Coast, or the gates of hell, this amazing coast is a reminder of our dynamically different world, which is filled with surprises at every turn. Thanks for joining me. Please join me next time when Granny goes down the rabbit hole. Please subscribe and share. Thank you.